Welcome back to my channel. In my first Blazor interview questions video, I got a good number of views, especially considering it was my very first upload. I truly appreciate all of you who watched, liked, and supported it. If you have any suggestions like feedback or is there any topics you want me to cover next, please drop them in the comments so I can prepare for that, and then it's really motivates me and helps me improve the content. And one more thing, if you are new here, please subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Today we are going one level deeper. I'm going to cover Blazor interview questions that will help you for full stack interviews. Let's get started. So the first question is, what are the life cycles in Blazor components? So we have few. So the first one started with on initialized. So in the on initialized event will get triggered when the component is created for the first time, and you can do the local data initialization, and then if you want to set any default values, that all can be set here. And the other event is async, where we can do the API calls, database calls, or if there are any asynchronous operations. The next one is on parameter set, when the parent passes new params back to the child, or when the component is getting re-rendered with updated values, this event will get triggered. On after re-render runs after the component renders, so we can do the JavaScript interop initialization, DOM interaction, as well as running code after UI elements exist. The last one is the dispose, so where the components are removed from the UI and dispose the object which are no longer needed. Moving on to the question number 2, what is the difference between Blazor server and Blazor assembly in terms of performance? So as we discussed in the first video, right, so Blazor server uses signaler, which keeps a real-time connection to the server. So the pros, if you see, fast the installation load and then small payload, and the minus, higher latency, the dependence on server plus network quality. Blazor WebAssembly mostly runs .NET inside the browser. The advantages are there is no server dependency, means the the entire application will get downloaded on the client machine and the rendering will happen from the client machine. The disadvantages, if you see, initially it has to download entire application. At the first time it will be a bit slow. Moving on to the question number 3, what are the components in Blazor? So basically component is a class, so which usually written in the form of Blazor markup page with a .razor extension. Okay, and yeah, components in the Blazor are formally referred to as Razor components. So the components are like, it is like a C# classes built into the .NET assemblies that can be reused, where we can implement user event handling, and then it can be used, reused, and it can be used as a nested components, and then it can be shared and then distributed as a Razor class libraries or as a NuGet packages. Question number 4, explain the communication between the components. So how exactly the communication happens between the parent and child, and then child to parent, and then two-way communications. In the parent and child communication, where the parent owns the data and then child receives the data from the parent. So this can be done using parameter attribute. So where we can declare what is a property it is expecting, child is expecting from the parent. So we can declare that property in the child and then decorate with the parameter attribute and then pass the message as shown in the parent.razor and explain the child to parent communication. So in this case, the parent passes a callback to the child, and then child triggers that callback when something happens. Example on any events such as button click or a text change event, anything, and then parents gets notified, and then parent will update the data. So this can be done using event callback. So where we define an event in the parent.razor, and in the child we can trigger the event using invoke async methods. Moving on to the question number 7, explain the child to parent communication two-way binding. Here the two-way binding is a combination of the one which we discussed before, parent to child and then child to parent, where when we alter the value on the parent it will get update in the child. When you're changing the value in the child it will update back to the parent. So that's the case. And the question number 8, what is prop drilling in Blazor? Okay, property drilling happens when you want to pass the data from a parent component to deeply nested child via multiple layers, right? If you see the example, my app is the parent, whereas the author is my last child. I want to pass the data back to the author. So what I have to do is, so I have to define a property, and the property has to move from app to dashboard, dashboard to user code, user code to user profile, and then reach to author. This is called prop dealing. Question number 9, how to avoid the prop dealing in Blazor? So I have to send the data through multiple childs, right? So now this will have a significant impact on the performance, and then I want to declare unwanted parameters in all my child. So instead of passing parameters step by step through every component, Blazor allows you to declare a cascading value at the top. Any component underneath can directly access it, even if they are many levels deep. So if you observe here, I have declared a variable as a the cascading value, and then we can access that using it as a cascading parameter in the child. Question number 10, what is render fragments in Blazor? A render fragments represent a chunk of UI, so which will have both HTML as well as backend logic that can be rendered dynamically. So rendered fragments lets the parent inject UI markup into the child, making components flexible and reusable. In the example, what I specified here, right? So yeah, child renders whatever markup parent provides inside my code, that will get displayed in the child tracer. Yeah, that's all for this video. Okay, thanks for watching this video on intermediate Blazor interview questions. And in case if you missed my first video on basic Blazor questions, check the link in the description. If this video was helpful, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Drop a comment on what you want next, like advanced Blazor, Azure .NET backend, or architecture topics. And in the next video we'll see like what are the advanced Blazor interview questions such as state management, dependency injection, and then architecture. See you there.